Hello and welcome. You're watching the news on Sansad TV with me, Bhavna Nair. Over the next half an hour, we are going to get you quick roundup of all the headlines in news, not just here in country, but around the world. Let's begin with the top 5 headlines this Monday evening. Government is sensitive to fishermen, asserts External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Lok Sabha clears anti-piracy bill. Bill to include the Beta Kuruba tribe from Karnataka under the scheduled tribes also passed. Do not criticize Jawans guarding our borders, Jaishankar tells opposition, underscores need to ensure respect and appreciation for the army. Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar expresses displeasure over disruptions of proceedings, rejects opposition's adjournment notice for non-compliance with rules. House takes up Appropriation Bills 2022. Russia mount multiple drone attack on Ukraine's capital Kyiv. Ukraine claims to have shot down more than 15 drones. And Argentina celebrates after winning their first FIFA World Cup win since 1986, beat France 4-2 in penalty shootout. And let's give you a quick roundup in our flash news segment. Over 28.46 crore unorganized workers registered on e-Shram portal. 53% are women, says government in written reply in Lok Sabha. On the 61st anniversary of Goa liberation, President, Vice President and Prime Minister greet people of the state. Bullet train project gains momentum. Railway Ministry says over 98% land needed in Maharashtra acquired. Piers erected over 118 kilometers. Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia urges people to adopt cycling to remain healthy and protect environment. Agriculture Ministry to host Millet Food Festival in Parliament for members on Tuesday. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia assures Rajya Sabha that centre will increase airports, water, aerodromes and heliports to 200 from 145 at present in next 5 years. BJP member Sushil Kumar Modi says government should oppose attempts to legalize same-sex marriage during zero hour in Rajya Sabha. No fresh indent placed to print 2,000 rupees notes since 2018-19, says Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary in Lok Sabha. 4 Revolutionary Guards of Iran killed in terror attack near Pakistan border. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa re-elected leader of ruling African National Congress Party. And now news in detail. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that we should not criticize our Jawans either directly or indirectly. He added that our soldiers are defending our borders standing at a height of 13,000 feet in Yangtze. They should be respected and their efforts should be appreciated. Let's listen in.
I think we should not directly or indirectly criticize our Jawans. Yeah. When our Jawans, sir, are standing, sir, our Jawans are standing, sir, in Yangtze, in Yangtze at 13,000 feet. Yeah. At 13,000 feet, they are standing there defending our borders. They do not deserve to have the word pitai. The word pitai should not be used for our Jawans, sir. Sir, our Jawans are standing their ground, so they should be respected, they should be honored, they should be appreciated. This is not something which is appropriate.
Rejecting allegations of discrimination against fishermen, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that the release of Indian fishermen arrested by Sri Lanka is not based on a letter from someone sitting in Chennai, but on action from Delhi. S. Jaishankar was replying on an issue raised by the DMK in the discussion on the Anti-Maritime Piracy Bill 2019 in the Lok Sabha. Jaishankar refuted claims that the government's attitude towards fishermen from Tamil Nadu and other coastal areas of India is discriminatory. He said that since 2014, the number of Indian fishermen released by Sri Lanka with the intervention of the government has been equal to the number of Indian fishermen released by Pakistan in Gujarat's coastal region. He said that be it the south coast or the west coast of the country, all fishermen are equal citizens of the country for the government. After the minister's reply, the House approved the Anti-Maritime Piracy Bill 2019 by voice vote, rejecting the amendments suggested by some members.
Actually looked at a number of other international legislation, and they looked particularly at legislation in Australia, New Zealand, Sri Lanka and UK, because the legal systems were very similar. And many of these countries already had legislation on the subject. So there was a best practices effort made before we drafted this bill. Regarding, he has spoken about internal coordination, international cooperation. Both are matters which I have already addressed. He's also spoken about creating a capacity building in this country to respond to to piracy situation. As I mentioned, some of this is already in the making, and certainly this, as with our SOPs and coordination, this will improve.
Most of the members who took part in the discussion on the Anti-Maritime Piracy Bill 2019 in the lower house said the government should form marine police in order to keep a stricter vigil against piracy. Let's listen in.
I am certainly supporting this bill, but the fact is that there are 2-3 caveats are there, because rarest of the rare cases has not been properly mentioned. Whether it has been wiped out, it has been abolished or not, that is not clear from this bill, because here you have mentioned that life imprisonment, death, both have been mentioned.
Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla on Monday inaugurated the orientation program for officers of the Indian Forest Service in the Parliament House complex. Addressing the occasion, the Speaker said that India's diversity is its strength, and this strength is enshrined in our Constitution. Unlike other democratic countries, democracy in India is linked to our tradition and has been a part of our life. Talking about the role of Indian Forest Service officers, he said that they should work for the protection of forests as well as for increasing the forest area in the country. While implementing the laws, the officials should be sensitive to the people whose life and livelihood depend on the forests.
आज इस वर्तमान परिप्रेक्ष्य के अंदर भी जलवायु परिवर्तन विषय पर भारत नेतृत्व कर रहा है। भारत की संसद ने भी कई इंटरनेशनल फोरम पर जो हमारी चर्चा हुई, संवाद हुआ, जिस तरीके से पूरी संसद ने सामूहिकता के साथ पर्यावरण और जलवायु परिवर्तन पर चिंता की, और सामूहिकता के साथ हम हमारी लाइफ स्टाइल के अंदर जलवायु परिवर्तन हमारा हिस्सा होना चाहिए, इसके लिए संकल्प लिया, तो हमारी सामूहिकता की शक्ति और सामूहिकता के साथ काम करना, इसके लिए हम कटिबद्ध हैं, प्रतिबद्ध हैं।
Moving with more parliamentary news, scheduled commercial banks have written off loans amounting to over 10 lakh crore in the last 5 financial years, and the process of recovery of dues from the borrowers continues. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman informed the Lok Sabha on Monday. Sitharaman said that the recovery in NPA, non-performing assets accounts, including written-off loans, is an ongoing process. She added that the borrowers of written-off loans continue to be liable for repayment, and the process of recovery of dues from the borrower in written-off loan accounts continues. The Finance Minister said that banks continue to pursue recovery actions initiated in written-off accounts through various recovery mechanisms available. The Rajya Sabha on Monday took up the Appropriation No. 5 Bill 2022 and the Appropriation No. 4 Bill 2022 for consideration and return. The appropriation bills authorize payment and appropriation of sums from and out of the Consolidated Fund of India. Initiating the discussion over the bills, Congress MP P. Chidambaram said private investment is sluggish and export is decreasing. Participating in the discussion, Sushil Modi of BJP highlighted the measures taken by the government to boost the economy and ensure welfare of people. Derek O'Brien of TMC raised the issue of unemployment. Members cutting across party lines took part in the discussions. Take a listen.
Of the 4 engines of growth, government expenditure is robust, and much of the 3,25,786 crore will go into government expenditure, which is good. I only wish that the expenditure is efficient and the outcome is as good as the expenditure. But that is a different matter. But what about the other 3 engines of growth? We know that private investment is sluggish. Private consumption is down.
हमने कोविड का बेहतर तरीके से मुकाबला किया है। हमारे रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया ने जो ब्याज दर है वो अमेरिका और यूके की तुलना में बहुत कम है। हमारा इन्फ्लेशन केवल 5.88% है, जबकि अमेरिका और यूके का इन्फ्लेशन रेट 9 और 10% पर पहुंच चुका है। सती महोदय, हमारा जो विकास दर है, ग्रोथ रेट, इस साल 6.8% रहने की संभावना है, जो वर्ल्ड के अंदर फास्टेस्ट इकोनॉमी है। सबसे ज्यादा ग्रोथ रेट भारत की रहने की संभावना है।
When pandemic year, that is Corona, when corporate tax was purposely lowered by Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji to provide relief to the COVID patients, 2019, that is not the year which should be compared with the current year by Mr. Chidambaram. Sir, instead, Mr. Chidambaram quote the data of pandemic years 2018-19 and 2019-20, when the corporate collections was all-time high, 32% during their period.
आज भारत की महंगाई इस वित्तीय वर्ष में 30 सालों में सर्वाधिक थी सर, 30 ईयर हाई पे, जहां भारत की थोक महंगाई 12 से 15% के आसपास घूम रही है और खुदरा महंगाई 6 से 8% के आसपास घूम रही है।
I would also like to mention the following. The linking of the rivers, particularly linking the peninsular rivers, is the need of the hour. But as it remains unfulfilled for several years, I urge upon the government to take concrete steps to execute the linking of the peninsular rivers a reality.
Moving ahead, Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar expressed deep anguish over disruptions in the upper house. He said that disruptions lead to losses to public exchequer and waste precious time. He urged the members to set higher standards of emulation for other theatres of legislation in the country.
I painfully report to you that loss of more than 100 minutes of disruption on 13th, 15th and 16th of December has sent not a good signal. Crores of public exchequer that were meant to be utilized, time that was supposed to be used for public purpose, issues that were required to be discussed could not be discussed. This august house is a unique platform. We must share vision, passion, mission of framers of the Constitution. It is time for us to be inspired and motivated by them so that we set very high standards of emulation. Generating optics of disruption brings a very bad name to us.
Moving on to other important story that made headline today, the 182 MLAs who were elected in the recently concluded Gujarat elections took oath as members of the Assembly on Monday. The legislators, who included Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, were administered the oath by Speaker Pro Tem Yogesh Patel, the BJP's senior-most legislator in the House. Voting, if necessary, will be held on Tuesday to elect the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of the 15th State Assembly. The BJP has nominated Shankar Chaudhary and Jethabhai Bharwar for the posts. Both filed their nomination papers in the Legislative Assembly Secretariat. The Congress has not announced any candidate for either of the posts. The Congress has 17 MLAs in the Assembly. that has a record of 156 BJP MLAs in the 182-member State Assembly. Bhupendra Patel was sworn in as Chief Minister on 12th December, along with 16 ministers. Time now for other news from across the nation. Google parent Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In a tweet, Pichai thanked the Prime Minister and said that it's inspiring to see the rapid pace of technological change under Prime Minister Modi's leadership. Pichai said that he looked forward to continue Google's strong partnership with India and supporting India's G20 presidency to advance an open, connected internet that works for all. Bhairo Singh Rathore, a BSF veteran of the 1971 India-Pakistan war, whose bravery at Rajasthan's Longewala's post was portrayed by the actor Sunil Shetty in the Bollywood movie Border, died in Jodhpur today. He was 81. Rathore was admitted to AIIMS, Jodhpur on December 14th after his health deteriorated. Files related to Schengen visa of 64 people having a high risk of migration allegedly disappeared from the French embassy in New Delhi. The CBI booked 2 former employees, Shubham Shaukin and Aarti Mandal, allegedly for charging Rs 50,000 per visa by clearing files of questionable candidates. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh inaugurated the Good Governance Week 2022 at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. The minister also launched a 5-day Prashasan Gaon Ki Or, a nationwide campaign to commemorate the birth anniversary of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Around 3,120 new services identified by district collectors across the country will be added for online service delivery under the campaign. Negotiators reached a historic deal at a UN Biodiversity Conference early Monday that would represent the most significant effort to protect the world's lands and oceans in the developing world. China, which had the presidency at this conference, released a new draft on Sunday that gave the talks much-needed momentum. And the positive news now, India has crossed 220 crore COVID-19 vaccine dose mark. Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia made the announcement on Twitter, adding that under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the government is constantly striving to make a safe and healthy India. Mandavia also said India's COVID-19 vaccination campaign is a proof of the country's capability and strength. Slipping into a very short break here, lots more coming up on the other side. You stay tuned to Sansad TV for more news.
भारत संपूर्ण विश्व में नेतृत्व की भूमिका निभाएगा.
G20 is going to be a very important occasion.
This is also beneficial to the state. How the Act is related to the Constitution amendment.
क्षमता और कार्य के हिसाब से लोगों को मौका मिलता है.
आपको हम अपनी ओर से पूरा सहयोग देंगे.
इस स्कीम में कितना पैसा देने का योजना बनाया ये बताइए.
अगर एनुअल देखा जाए तो 37,845. I think being bold enough to accept that the standing committee has made an improvement on the original bill.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news, and time now to see all the developments from the conflict zone of Russia-Ukraine. Multiple explosive drones attacked Ukraine's capital before dawn on Monday. The drone attack came 3 days after what Ukrainian officials described as one of Russia's biggest assaults on Kyiv since the war started, and Moscow presses on with its effort to torment Ukraine from the air amid a broad battlefield stalemate. Russia launched 23 self-exploding drones over Kyiv while the city slept, but Ukrainian forces shot down 18 of them. No major casualties were reported. Russia's defense ministry published a video on Monday said to be Russia's military exercises taking place in Belarus. The video shows tanks, armored people carriers and howitzers in action on snowy terrain, as well as soldiers firing machine guns, sniper rifles, grenade launchers and mortars. There has been constant military activity for months in Belarus involving Russian and Belarusian troops. Russian President Vladimir Putin is likely to visit ally Belarus, which provided the Kremlin's forces with a launch pad for its invasion of Ukraine almost 10 months ago. A top army general of Ukraine said last week that Russia was preparing 2 lakh fresh troops for a major offensive that could come from the east, south or even from Belarus as early as January, but more likely in spring. Ukrainian President Zelensky said on Sunday that protecting Ukraine's borders was a constant priority and that his country was ready for all possible scenarios with Russia and its ally Belarus. In his address, Zelensky issued a new appeal to Western nations to provide Ukraine with effective air defenses. He also said that his forces were holding the town of Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine, where some of the fiercest fighting has been seen. A record snowfall hit Moscow on Sunday with dozens of flights in the airports of the Russian capital delayed or cancelled and traffic jams appearing on the roads. According to local media, the height of snow cover on Sunday reached almost 15 inches, which is the most on record for this day since 1989. Moscow residents said that the most complicated part of clearing the snow is lack of people, since most people are in Luhansk and in Ukraine. And some more news from across the globe. Tunisians voted to elect a new parliament on Saturday amid a cost of living crisis and fears of democratic backsliding in the North African country, the birthplace of Arab Spring protests a decade ago. Opposition parties have boycotted the election, saying the vote is part of President Kais Saied's effort to consolidate power. The opposition has said the low voter turnout indicates that Tunisians have stopped supporting Kais Saied. Thailand deployed warships and helicopters on Monday to locate 33 Marines missing after a corvette sank overnight in choppy waters in the Gulf of Thailand. 3 Navy vessels and 2 helicopters were sent to find the missing people after the HTMS Sukhothai warship suffered an engine malfunction and went down just before midnight, about 37 kilometers off the coast. An overnight rescue mission had secured 73 of the 106 people. The Baihitun hydropower station, the world's second largest hydropower station in southwest China, entered its final preparation stage on Monday. It has totally installed capacity of 16 million kilowatts. The station is slated to fully come online on Tuesday. It is located on the Jianisha River. Investment in the project is valued at about $34.07 billion US. Nearly a dozen people were seriously injured when a flight to Hawaii was rocked by severe turbulence on Sunday, about 30 minutes outside Honolulu. 11 people on the Hawaiian Airlines flight from Phoenix were taken to multiple emergency rooms in a serious condition, and 9 others were transported in a stable condition. Responded treated 36 people. Serbian protesters gathered on the Serb side of crossing between their country and Kosovo on Sunday to show their support for Serbs in Kosovo. Tensions between Serbia and Kosovo flared during the past week after Serbs erected barricades in the north of the former Serbian province to protest the arrest of former Kosovo Serb police officer. Serbia has demanded that its security forces return to the breakaway former province of Kosovo, despite warnings that such calls will only add to tensions in that part of the Balkans. And time to see what's happening in the world of sports. Argentina win the FIFA World Cup for the 3rd time after a gap of 36 years. Beat defending champions France in the final 4-2 on penalties after match ends 3-3 after extra time. Argentina captain Lionel Messi wins the Golden Ball awarded to best player of the tournament. Messi scored 2 of his 7 goals in the World Cup 2022 in the final. He also set up 3 goals in the tournament. French striker Kylian Mbappe ends up on a losing side despite scoring a hat-trick in the World Cup final. With 8 goals, takes home the Golden Boot awarded to the leading goal scorer in the tournament. Argentina's Emiliano Martinez wins the Golden Glove awarded to the best goalkeeper of the tournament. Martinez saved Kingsley Coman's penalty in the shootout to help Argentina to a 4-2 win. Argentina's Enzo Fernandez wins the Young Player Award for a breakthrough tournament. The Benfica midfielder scored as a substitute against Mexico. England well placed to win the third test against Pakistan being played at Karachi. Visitors need 55 runs with 8 wickets in hand on day 4 to clean sweep the test series 3-0. And Rohit Sharma ruled out of the upcoming Mirpur test against Bangladesh starting on 22nd of December. Rohit is nursing a thumb injury that he picked up during the ODI series in Bangladesh. And with that, it's a wrap of today's bulletin. Keep watching Sansad TV for more news and updates. Thank you for staying in. Good night. Namaskar.